Hey everyone, welcome back. So I'm genuinely super excited you're joining me today because we are unpacking a truly fascinating section of our source material, Chapter 3, titled Polishing the Management Mind. If you've ever felt kind of stuck in your career or your business, well, this explainer is absolutely for you. We're going to take a really close look at the hidden dangers of rigid thinking and how failing to adapt to a society that's, let's face it, constantly changing can quietly sabotage your success. Okay, let's dive right into this. I want to challenge you right off the bat here. Are you building for your customers or are you building for your ego? It's a tough question, right? Kind of makes you squirm a bit. But it's exactly the kind of uncomfortable reflection our source material demands if we actually want to grasp whose needs we're really serving when we create a product or, lead a team. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're looking at a clear six-part framework. First, the rigid thinking trap. Second, constantly think and adapt. Third, breaking your business bottlenecks. Fourth, overcoming the producer ego. Fifth, the customer-first mindset. And finally, building a flexible culture. Let's get right to it. Section 1, the rigid thinking trap. The text refers to this really interesting concept called the management mind. What this essentially means is, well, it's basically your brain's approach to leading and operating in the world. And the source points out a pretty harsh truth here. If you're relying on fixed decisions that you made, say, 3, 5, or even 10 years ago, and you're just flat out refusing to change them regardless of what's happening around you, you're effectively disqualified as a leader. Your mind absolutely has to mirror the constant evolution of society. Moving on to Section 2, constantly think and adapt. So, to break out of that rigid thinking trap, the text gives us a great two-step remedy. Step 1 is to constantly think. You do this by gathering external information literally every single day. You've got to keep your antenna up. Step 2 is balancing that big picture with the small details. Actually, the source specifically warns against something called sectionalism. This is basically when departments inside a company start fighting each other over petty, minor issues, and they completely lose sight of the overarching vision. A truly great leader stops those turf wars dead in their tracks, while still catching those tiny, crucial mistakes that could otherwise sink the whole ship. Okay, let's hit Section 3, breaking your business bottlenecks. Honestly, this is one of the most eye-opening parts of the text for me. As a business scales, say beyond 50 or 100 people, every single stage of growth creates a new bottleneck. And here's the kicker. Sometimes the leader is the biggest bottleneck. Think about it. A founder who insists on doing absolutely everything themselves, doing the hiring, checking the accounting, micromanaging the sales team, eventually they become the very thing blocking progress. To scale, you literally have to evolve your approach and just let go of the reins. Which brings us to Section 4, overcoming the producer ego. There's a really stark contrast we need to look at here. A producer-centric view is completely inward-facing. It's assuming your product is the best simply because you made it. The text uses a really great Japanese term here, becoming a tengu, which essentially means becoming arrogant and self-centered. A market-centric view, on the other hand, is humble. It asks the really tough question, why would a customer choose an alternative over me? It's a massive, fundamental shift from what you want to build to what the market actually needs. All right, Section 5, the customer-first mindset. Notice this explicit, non-negotiable rule highlighted from the text. Never forget the customer mind. We have to completely step out of our own shoes, abandon the arrogance of the creator, and step directly into the user's shoes. And I know it's incredibly easy to say, but shockingly hard to practice on a daily basis. I absolutely love this quote from the source. Finally, ask the market. The author uses a brilliant metaphor here, comparing the market to a report card. It's like, just like politicians have approval ratings, your business has a report card, and the market is the only teacher holding the red pen. If your product isn't selling, your report card is telling you loud and clear that something is wrong, and there's no amount of ego that can argue with those grades. And that brings us to the fifth point of this framework, which redefines a term we hear all the time, added value. The text clarifies that added value isn't just the product itself. No, it's the cumulative joy and satisfaction experienced by the end user. It's the sum total of everything, from the initial product planning, to the manufacturing, the distribution, right down to the end customer service. If any one of those links breaks, your total added value just plummets. Finally, Section 6, building a flexible culture. The text beautifully contrasts a rigid, bureaucratic company with a flexible one. Imagine a bureaucratic company. They get a customer complaint, they completely ignore it, and they just try to force their product onto the market anyway. It's painfully slow and completely top-down. But a flexible, customer-first organization, the entire organization reacts. They adapt. Management's customer-first culture literally permeates every single level, from the CEO all the way down to the frontline workers. Everyone shares that exact same awareness. So the crucial takeaway here is this 5-part framework for polishing the management mind. Let's lock this in real quick. 1. Constantly think and gather information. 2. Balance the big picture vision with the small details. 3. Identify and resolve your bottlenecks, even if, or maybe especially if that bottleneck is you. 4. Adopt the customer mind by truly stepping into their shoes. And 5. Relentlessly increase added value across the entire customer experience. This framework brilliantly illustrates exactly what it takes to polish that management mind. So I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to chew on today based on our explainer. What is the biggest bottleneck holding your market report card back today? Is it rigid thinking? Is it a producer ego? I encourage you to take a really honest look at your processes today and ask the market. Thank you so much for learning with me, and I absolutely can't wait to explore more incredible topics with you next time.